Hello, and welcome to the Storybook. Today is our first episode, and today we're going to be talking about the individuality and uniqueness of all of our COVID experiences and experiences with quarantine that we've had. Today we have 3 interviews. One created by yours truly, Ronan, another by Ruby, and a third by Mira and Nim. And without further ado, I present to you with Ruby's interview and the first interview on this podcast.
Hello, I am Ruby Preston, and I'm going to be interviewing my mom. Okay, Mom. So, how did COVID affected your life?
Well, the first time that COVID affected my life was when the job that I had for 7 years at Plattsburgh Brewing Company, they closed down because we were going into a lockdown. So I had to go on unemployment for the first time ever in my working career. And I also had to become kind of like your teacher because you had to go into remote learning in the spring.
What was it like being on unemployment?
I mean, it's okay. It's kind of boring because there's not a lot for me to do.
Was it hard getting onto unemployment?
Well, at the time in the spring of 2020, it was because a lot of other people were also going on unemployment at the same time I did, so I had a hard time. It took me probably about 4 to 5 days to finally get on there, but I know people that it took them like 2 weeks.
But also, when you were on unemployment after when COVID started to die down a little bit, did you ever try finding a new job?
Well, no, I didn't because not a lot of places were hiring because still a lot of places were in lockdown or they were bringing minimal staff back. But in July of 2020, I was asked to become the sous chef and pastry chef at Buster's Sports Bar and Grill, and I accepted the position, and I helped to create the menu and to price the menu and to come up with all the dishes and the desserts, and I also helped set up the kitchen. But unfortunately, by December 1st, because it was very slow at the time, I ended up having to go back on unemployment for the second time, and I had to homeschool, and I have to homeschool you full time.
What was it like having to go to Buster's to do all this stuff that you had to do?
I mean, pricing was hard, but I found it to be fun, especially after 4 or 5 months of not doing anything because there was nothing to do. But in the end, there were actually some positives that happened with COVID was that I was able to save up and I bought myself a car and I got to spend more time with you, and I was able to read a lot of books that I haven't gotten a chance to read. I think I've read like 6 or 7. I'm on like my 8th one now, and I got to repaint my room and your room, and I've been keeping up on chores, and I still continue to regularly exercise. But my hope is by the springtime, like Buster's had told me, was that I'll be able to go back to work. So hopefully we'll all be able to get the vaccine eventually, but that's basically how COVID affected my life.
And also, another positive for both of us was we got to spend a lot of time with that floofball, our cat. I call her a floofball, but she's in her little box right now, out of her little house. So this is Ruby Preston and Nikki Preston signing off.
That was Ruby's interview. Now it is time for Mira and Nim's. I hope you enjoy.
Hi, she's Nim and I'm Mira, and we're going to be interviewing my brother Kieran. Say hi.
Hello.
He's 21 and he's in college.
I am.
So he's had to spend his, part of his sophomore year and, all of his junior year online. So what would you say about your entire online experience, Kieran?
Well, how COVID changed my college experience.
Yeah.
It was all very sudden, and I was just living the on-campus life. Vibing, living, and putting some stuff off, and looking back at it, it was definitely just such a sudden change.
For me too.
Well, yeah, for you guys too, and especially my sophomore year. It was my last year on campus, and I was still kind of like, I'll get around to seeing this place on campus and doing this stuff. before I move off campus, and then all of a sudden, in the span of like a week, it was gone, and then we were home learning, and then and then the first semester, it was definitely like nobody really knew how to use Zoom. Everyone had to learn on the fly. Everyone was stressed about it. So that was definitely a lot less smooth. Yeah, it's true. A lot of them haven't learned, but it was definitely a lot smoother this time around because people have adjusted to Zoom. They had a summer to sort of do that, but it's still like not getting the college experience fully. And yeah, I feel bad for people that have to graduate though. So.
Yeah, so you're hoping to have senior year.
Yeah, hopefully things are under
You're going
control.
back to campus on Saturday, tomorrow.
Yeah, but I live off campus now.
Okay, but you're going to go back to, like, Binghamton.
Yes, I'm going to go back to Binghamton.
Are you going to do online class? Are you going to do in-person classes, or are you just going to
No, I'm just going to do my apartment and go online classes. So it's definitely, like, yeah, it's weird, like, being able to take college classes from home and there.
Are there any pros, would you say?
Pros to the online class? I think.
Do you, like, you don't have to socialize with people, maybe?
On your own time. You know? So, like, the campus food wasn't great, but there were certain places that were good. And, yeah, like, and there were like, some restaurants, but getting a home-cooked meal every day, that's probably an advantage. You know, mom's cooking and stuff.
Mom's cooking for a long time.
It is.
But you got ramen.
I've had to DoorDash. So DoorDash just went up during the pandemic. A lot of people don't want to go out, so they get food delivered. So that's where I come in. So I guess I make more money.
Before this, you were Taco Bell. Do you make more money in DoorDash than Taco Bell?
Depends on the week, usually, yeah. Once I started getting up and doing the lunch rush, like, for a while I was just too lazy to get up before, like, 2 p.m. So, like, I couldn't really get the lunch rush, but, like, then I started doing that, and now I'm making more money. So,
like, waking up.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Waking up is good. And, yeah, so sort of being on your own schedule, I guess. I'm just scared that it'll still be going on, and then I'll have to graduate and try to find a job, and no one's going to be wanting to go for a job. So, like, that's some high. That's not like a career.
No, like, my career path, Ash.
Yeah,
that rhymes. Yeah, like, normal. Like what you did in your life.
Yeah, definitely just getting to go back to my dorm after class and just, relaxing with different people. I was kind of like, we had a good group on our floor, so we vibed out, just seeing people around, even people that you didn't necessarily really hang out with, but just the type of people that you'd see walking by and being like, hey, what's up? That's cool. And just being on your own, it was, learning independent.
So,
yeah, not having to do with events.
How much stress did you have? Like, do you miss, like, any stressful stuff?
It's pretty much the same stress level. Because it's still classes. I'd say it'll be easier to, because I've got, the people that I'm bubbling with, they all, went to church, Solomon, Kurt, and Alex. So seeing them all the time was definitely good.
And you had
but part of it was easier. It was
siblings.
And my two amazing siblings.
And your two amazing parents.
So, what I prefer, Mom helps, but she's also a lot.
Oh, Maggie?
Yeah.
But, it pays off. All moms are, That's just it turned this into an episode about moms. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, and, got to know. We've, already spent a lot of time together, so it's not, I don't think we, necessarily, I don't think COVID really changed the relationship of our family.
Some people, when you're stuck together, a lot of
Yeah, we did get a quarantine dog.
Yeah, it's called pandemic, though.
Not bad.
We got ours in February. The day of my grandma's funeral. So that was fun.
That was a wait. Did you get it before or after the funeral?
Before. So we weren't.
Did you show up to the funeral with the dog?
No, we weren't. So anyways, what Nim and her dog. I wish it was. Nim could put her on for hours though. I can, but she wakes me up at 8 a.m. every morning to take her for a walk.
So some other thing, but it's way different on campus now. So like, there's always certain places to go at certain times to eat. You can only be with someone.
I mean, me and Mira got closer because we're pretty much in like a friend bubble. Break time. So do you think you got closer to any of your friends?
Closer to any? I'd say yeah.
Of your home friends?
Home friends, yeah.
Like Solomon, you know?
I mean, no, I think I got close to Solomon.
What about like Kurt and Alex?
Them and like, yeah. So just seeing them because we were kind of like relying on each other.
Closer to Suarez.
Yeah, I mean because like we were sort of like relying.
Oh, Danielle is also in the podcast.
So yeah, I mean earlier in the pandemic, we were kind of relying on each other to like, bubble and keep each other sane.
What hurt?
Hurt as well. So we were like really, doing that. Like it was important because they were, especially when sports went on, doing 2K stuff, doing the video game stuff, helped a lot when there was like absolutely nothing earlier in the pandemic. So yeah, I'd say I probably got closer to that. And
we didn't have a lot closer. Yes, we were like friends. Because we were in like a friend bubble. We had this all the time. Like when we were playing Among Us. I remember it's mostly between like our friend group. Well, I didn't see Alice, so like I did see her directly, but I basically like me, you, and her were about 0 same. Like every time you saw me, you see her the next day, and we had 2 joint.
it also kind of, COVID kind of changed the relationship between, I mean, it didn't, obviously, like, it's still professor and student, but, like, now that they were Zooming from their house, and they were sort of going through the same stuff we were going through.
You're like, wait, they're real people?
Like, yeah, sort of.
I mean, we already knew it more because our parents.
Yeah, stuff.
And we saw mom
It's sort of
so
like,
much.
we're all in this together sort of thing.
We're in this together.
So, like, definitely feel like, I don't know, a little more personal connection with professors, I guess. But at the same time, you're more distant. Also more distant.
Because you know, like, I was like, in my, actually, my teacher was a lot nicer on Zoom than she was in person. Like, my teachers, Sarah really on
She
Zoom.
lost control on Zoom. I mean, it's really just even more just on you to, like, pay attention to. They can't really yell at you.
Yeah. Well, we're doing that. I'll find my teacher. Your teacher is your mom. Yeah, she yells at me. This girl's homeschooled. This is Nimoy. You're lucky. Wait, she snuck into our house, but we're fine with her. Yeah. I don't know, so, I think you gotta get closer to Alice.
How long did this have to be?
Okay. So that concludes our interview with we also talked about ourselves a little bit, me and Nim. So we'll see you tomorrow. No, we're from. Yeah. Between just the two of us. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
That was Mira and Nim's interview. Now it is time for my interview and the final interview for this episode of the podcast. I hope that you enjoy. Okay. So, just like, who are you? What's your name?
My name is Arlene.
Okay. How long have you been a member of the UUFP?
I've been a member of the UFP for about 40 years.
Quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
I guess just kind of like, how has COVID affected your personal life?
Well, it's affected my personal life in that it is now January and I have not seen my grandchildren from Ithaca or my children in Ithaca or Chicago for over a year now. And that's really very hard. Even though we Zoom, it's hard not to have Thanksgiving with them and Christmas with them. So it's really good that we have Megan and Ronan and Declan here because I can get to see them, but it's been hard not seeing the other people except on Zoom.
Yeah. Um, how has it affected your job?
Well, it's affected my job a lot because my job as a social worker was to go out and do things for patients. I would meet them at their homes. I would meet them at various agencies in the community to help them get services. I would have to get clothing for them and bring them. I would meet them at their doctor's appointments. And since COVID, I am not allowed to do any of that. So basically now my job is to sit at a desk and talk to them on the phone and talk to agencies on the phone, and everything I do is pretty much not in person. So it's a very different job. Even though the same things may be accomplished, it's much harder for them to get accomplished, and it's just not as rewarding as having the personal contact that I've had with them all along.
What would you say is the most important thing that you've learned during COVID that stuck with you?
I think the most important thing that I've learned is that I can spend large periods of time without seeing other people and doing all of the things that I used to do during a week or a weekend and still be okay. That it's taught me how to develop, or not even to develop, but to go back to doing some of the things that I used to do when I wasn't so busy and wasn't seeing so many people, just to be at home and be able to do crafts or read more or do more kinds of brain things. It's just a little bit quieter and more internal, and one of the things that I've learned is that I don't mind that at all. It's kind of nice.
What's the biggest thing that you've missed since before quarantine?
My children and my grandchildren who I can't see and hug.
Do you have any stories from anything that's happened during quarantine? And if so, will you tell one or two?
Stories, huh?
Like, has anything happened that's story worthy?
Well, I don't know if these are stories, but I can say that there are ways that we've adapted so that some of the things that we used to do, we still do in a different way. So even though I couldn't see, say, Deacon and Darby at school, which we had planned to do, or not even go to the graduation, that we were able to Zoom with them every week and know what they were doing and what their lives were like. And then we saw people, there are people that we see every Friday night, and we were not able to do that, but we were able to, in warm weather, meet on a big deck and still get together. When the weather got a little bit colder, we got a big heater and we could still do that. Now we don't do that, but we still Zoom on Friday nights. There are things that we don't do anymore, so we don't go to trivia every week, which we used to do. But sometimes when we Zoom with Jana, she will devise a game that we can all play together, and so that's a lot of fun too. So I don't know if there are any stories.
Do you have any personal stories of anything that's happened to you, like anything that's happened at work, or a thing that's happened in your personal life? I know it's kind of a lofty question.
So one of the more interesting things that happened that's different this year than from other years was on my birthday. And I share a birthday with Megan, my daughter, who is Ronan's mom. And we'd already had a plan to get dinner that night, ordered in. So I knew I didn't have to cook or make a nice meal. And Megan was making the cake, so I didn't have to do that. So I spent a very quiet Sunday morning. I think I was sitting on the couch and doing a puzzle, and there was a lot of noise outside. And there hasn't been a lot of noise outside because most people aren't outside doing things. It's cold and there aren't a lot of crowds around. But I heard all of this noise and I couldn't figure out what it was. And all of a sudden, people came up on the porch and knocked on the door, and I opened it thinking maybe I was getting a package, and it was all of my Friday night friends. and they all came and sang happy birthday, and they all brought presents that they made me open on the porch.
What did you get for presents?
Oh man, so I got a couple of bottles of wine. I got a couple of travel wine cups, because one of the things that we were doing in the summer was getting together on Friday nights, and everybody, of course, to be safe in COVID, was bringing their own drinks and their own food. The food that we shared, we were very careful to do with, using utensils all the time. Nobody used hands. So I got that. I got a mug that said that I am the light. I got some chocolates. Yep, I got some marzipan, which I love. I got a gift certificate to Amazon. I got some nice hand cream. What else? And lots of funny cards, because that is a tradition that we do, is we always give each other funny cards. So I got a bunch of funny cards. And then they stayed for a little while, and then when they left, it was late, and we got ready, and then we had a wonderful dinner that was catered by Jamie, right? That was the dinner that we had from Olive Ridley's. And
Yeah.
Jamie catered it, and it was delicious. And Megan made an incredibly wonderful cake.
That was, well, actually, me and Declan made the cake.
And they
My
did
brother,
a great job.
She just made the frosting, so...
Well, I will say then that Declan and Ronan did a wonderful job making that cake, because it was delicious. And Megan and I blew out our candles, and we also then had a family Zoom, right? Everybody, yes, we blew the candles out with everybody. Jana and Kyle and Judd and Mark and Deacon and Darby and the other grandparents from the West Coast, Jude and Len and Carol, and they all sang happy birthday to both of us, and we got to blow out the candles and then eat the yummy cake, which they didn't get to do, which is very sad because it was delicious.
Cool. Okay. So
those are some of the ways that we adapt, even if we want to have celebrations, we just need to do them a little differently, but we can still have celebrations.
also another thing that I had in mind was like how we were playing the board games.
So we've been playing board games here, and Declan and Ronan got a couple of board games that we'd never played before, and they brought them over. And
They're still
still
they're on the table from the
Saturday.
birthday.
No, that one we did. This is from last Saturday.
No, because wait, the second time that we played was on the birthday.
Oh, okay.
So
we played a game on the birthdays.
it's been up here since the...
And we didn't have time to finish because it was a long game, and everybody had to get back because school was the next day.
Yeah, it takes like 2.5 hours to
Right.
play.
So when they left, they said, "Oh, just leave it here." So the game is still sitting on the table just as it was, and we will at some point finish it.
Yeah. Hopefully.
And that's a difference, too, in COVID, because you can leave a game on the table and know that nobody's going to come to visit and see that that you don't have a table that they can sit at and play cards. It's just the table is being taken up by the game, and that's fine. That's kind of nice.
What about all the puzzles you've been doing?
So I've been doing a bunch of jigsaw puzzles, which I have to say I used to do when I was probably in high school, and then I never did them again until my grandsons Deacon and Darby were born, and they loved puzzles. So every year I would buy them puzzles for Christmas, and we would always do them together. So, and since then, I really haven't done any puzzles because I'm the only one here who likes to do them. So when COVID started, I bought a puzzle, and it was, oh no, that's not true. At the beginning of COVID, Megan bought me for Mother's Day a really wonderful puzzle of skeins of yarn. It was great, and I loved doing it. And when it was finished, I thought I'd get another one, so I did. I got one that was buckets of paint. And that was great too. And I am now working on another one that Megan did get me for my birthday, which is a kind of abstract Alice in Wonderland Cheshire Cat puzzle. And that's on the table as well. But every time we play, I just move the board somewhere. So yeah, there are lots of, and at the same time, I'm also crocheting an Afghan, which I also have not done in a very long time. So I've found ways to keep myself busy that using skills that I had earlier and just haven't used in a while.
All right. I just have a few more questions. So the first one is, what is your biggest post-quarantine dream that you have that you want to do?
Whoa. Well, I want to see Jaina and Kyle and the boys in Ithaca. I want to see Judd in Chicago because he's been in his apartment by himself. He's the one he's all by himself in his apartment. Yes, he teaches at the Art Institute in Chicago. And so he continues to teach from home, and he also is part of a performance group that continues also to do things. So actually, we've seen two of their presentations. We've been able to stream because they get together with various art groups in New York City and Chicago, and they get streamed. So we are able to see them. So we saw two really good performances that they've done. And that's different too, because probably they would have been done in person and we could have seen those, but we still get to see them. And so that's nice. So I think the things I want to do have to do with family. And I also want to go someday to a restaurant again and someday to a movie again, but I don't know when I'll feel safe doing that. But those are things I like to do. And travel, because we haven't traveled at all. We took a trip before COVID started, the summer before COVID. We went to Greece, and that was wonderful. And then we had planned another trip for this year, and that didn't happen. And hopefully there'll be a time in the next couple of years when we actually can feel safe traveling again by plane and going to somewhere that will be interesting.
COVID and the life-altering circumstances it brought have been hard for Kiernan and Nikki and Arlene, but also for Ronan, Ruby, Mira, and Nim, and for everyone out there. But listening to the interviews, Ronan, Ruby, Mira, and Nim realized that while it was hard, everyone they interviewed also found some unexpected blessings and discovered new ways of living life that might stay with them when the pandemic is long over. More board games and books, more home-cooked meals, more opportunities to be creative, more time outdoors, and deeper connections with the few people they got stuck with during this time. Ruby experienced a positive slowdown of life, more time with her cat and her mom and other living things, more times for her and her teddy to practice ventriloquism and for trying new hobbies. Ruby says, with life slowly re-emerging, time with family and friends will forever remain more special than ever before, and not something she can take for granted. Nim got a cat during quarantine and enjoyed spending special time with her. She got into baking, and we're all looking forward to trying her yummy creations. Nim read more books and is emerging from the pandemic feeling a much stronger connection to her brother, father, and mother, and her friend Mira. Mira is also feeling closer to Nim and wants to carry the feeling of closeness with family and friends into post-pandemic times. She has been walking her dog more and painting more, which she really loves to do. Mira also got to sleep more, stating that sleeping is her new favorite hobby because more sleep had a really positive impact on her life. And Ronan says that while quarantine was overall a negative stain on the ever-unfolding paper of life, there were definitely positive experiences, and that those positive memories will always be with him, and that he hopes to create even better memories in the future, a future that will hopefully be brighter and where a terrible pandemic will not happen again. Everyone was nodding their heads while listening to each other's personal COVID experiences, easily relating to each other's struggles and experiences, having had similar ones. So Ruby, Ronan, Mira, and Nim's conclusion is, even though COVID life is hard, people found unexpected happiness, joy, and blessings. And maybe that is something we can generalize. Yes, things are hard, life is hard, and yet, if we look closely enough, cool things and fun and joy can still be found. So may it be. Until next time.
From everybody who made this podcast, we thank you for listening to our first episode. Goodbye and good day.